Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Bank to the Future Live. I have returned from my journey to Hong Kong, where I was filming the last few episodes. Today we're going to do a few things. We're going to go through our usual standard updates on pitches on BnkToTheFuture.com. Also going to make a special announcement about our third secondary market initial allocation that we'll be sharing with our BFT token holders and priority access members only. And the topic I'd like to go through today, on top of our portfolio company updates, is on our investor relations and due diligence process for how we list companies on BnkToTheFuture.com. And then we'll move over to your questions and answers, and we'll try and give a bit more time for Q&A because we had to cut them short last week rather, and we'll look to cover as many of those as we can. As usual, for those of you that are watching live, most of you obviously watch the recording, but for those of you that are joining us live, we welcome you. And if you could just let us know in the live chat or the comments if you can't hear me or if my internet kicks out or anything, and we'll try and find a suitable solution. Famida is here moderating as usual, and she'll be picking up questions either from Telegram or from the live chat, or we'll try and find them on any of our other social networks, but best to use the live chat if you'd like to get a question answered. If you are watching this on the recorded version, then please do use the comments feature under this video, and we'll try and review those as well, and also go to our Telegram channel where you can ask questions, where we'll get to you as soon as possible and try and cover them in next week's broadcast. So another quick thing before we get started is it really helps us if you like this video, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then when you subscribe, there's a button underneath this video, normally a big red button that says subscribe. Don't forget that next to the subscribe button, you've got to hit the bell next to it. When you hit the bell, it will give you an email notification every time we go live on the Bank to the Future YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that, use the comments, share this as much as possible, and it helps us reach new communities so that we can provide better content. Also, do let us know what other types of things you'd like to see in future broadcasts and future episodes. You know, we try to focus on a particular area each week, and we'd love to hear your feedback on that. So unless I hear anything from Famida that says that that we're not working or is not working okay, I'm going to go right into the content, and I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And as soon as I do that, you should see if that worked. I don't think it did work. You should see lots and lots of infinite screen there. That's what we were looking for.
Yeah, it's not sharing the screen.
Right, why is that not sharing? For some reason, it's not actually letting me share. The button to share is grayed out, and it won't actually let me share.
Do you want to try and...
Here we go. Let's try another one. Okay, so I think you can see that now, the infinite screen of me disappearing into a dot. And I'm going to move over to the Bank to the Future platform. Famida, can you see that okay?
Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so the screen share is working. One thing to notice, a feature that we often use, is whenever we have a new important update, we use this screen whereby as soon as you log in, it gives you a notice. And this is where once a pitch is reached past the priority access phase, and just a reminder, those of you that hold 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on your BnkToTheFuture.com account, then you will receive priority access and 48 hours head start on every deal, and also exclusive deals. So all of our secondary market initial allocations are only to those who hold 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on their BnkToTheFuture.com account. What happens here is when you log in, you'll be able to see any new important announcements. So The interesting one on this is that we recently put a pitch live, and it's going to be ending today, I believe. There's only a few hours left, but the vast majority of it was subscribed to in just to priority access deal holders only. So sometimes deals don't even make it to the platform if they're popular in the priority access stage. And Abra was one of those where it was extremely popular. So we post a new announcement here. I guess we need to update this to closing soon because it's almost done now. And what typically happens is we'll add a link here where you can go to the pitch of whatever we might be discussing. Or if you can continue as normal and click this button, and it will just take you to the normal flow where you started to log in. But in this case, I'm actually going to go to the pitch, because once you click it, it won't appear again. You'll only get the message once. And you can see here the Abra pitch. They are raising approximately $12,000, and it looks, sorry, $12 million. And it looks like we are very close to being 100% funded on that. So there's only room for a couple more investors, and we are in the last 21 hours. I believe there might be a little bit left in overfunding, but they're keen to close that off because it's been a very popular pitch. For those of you that don't know, Abra is, they've been around for quite a while, actually. They originally started in the Philippines market, where they created an application that allowed people to do cash in, cash out using crypto, using the Abra app connected to a network of almost like an Uber style network of money service operators, where it could allow you to switch your currency using crypto. But they more focused on the app and giving place and utilizing their network of fiat currencies to allow people to purchase crypto in many different formats. And they've just launched new features whereby you can use your crypto in order to essentially gain exposure to stocks, ETFs, and other financial products, just using your cryptocurrency. Now, I don't want to get too geeky into how it actually works, because it's a pretty complicated feat of financial engineering. But essentially, you're not buying stocks, you're buying what's called a synthetic derivative, which is a swap, whereby you're betting against someone else. And so they use the liquidity of the markets. They've got a very complex hedging strategy in the background, whereby you can essentially get all the benefits as if you were owning Apple stock, but through using Bitcoin. And everything is collateralized by Bitcoin, through Bitcoin. And Bill believes that this is one of the big use cases that are going to come through for Bitcoin, which is using it as collateral when investing in traditional stocks and ETFs and other types of products, as well as cryptocurrencies. The other thing they do is they have integrated with lots of different traditional fiat currencies and also cryptocurrencies. So somebody somewhere in the world that has less exposure to traditional stock markets can buy exposure to Apple stock, for example, using Bitcoin, and it's also collateralized by Bitcoin. So it's a really interesting use case, and they've got some pretty sophisticated technology using some of the regulatory situations with synthetic swaps and more complex exotic products that back this and allow it to be collateralized. So Abra is doing very well, and it looks like that will be closing very shortly, and we've only got about 20 hours left on that. And I think that was just a 1-week pitch. Also, we have, just as a reminder, we have these 2 tabs at the top here. The Invest tab is where we list all of the new deals. And so these are new primary offerings where the company is offering new shares. They tend to be less established, more earlier stage companies, but we also get some established companies like Abra here when we get an allocation in the round. And those are all on the Invest tab. In terms of deals that we've got live right now, we've got a new one came live from last week, which is Phaze. They are allowing people, it's a wallet that's integrated with lots of different gift cards that then allow you to use your cryptocurrency to spend it in many of the top high street brands using the gift card infrastructure that they built. We've also got Trusti, which is an app, a technology stack that helps with security tokens in terms of the compliance side. So when you have to do all the KYC, the AML, the sanctions checks, and everything that's required for the growth of what many people are forecasting to be the next wave in crypto, the securities token market, then Trusti has created an app to ensure the compliance and have that as a service for those launching security tokens. And StartEngine will be closing soon. StartEngine is an equity crowdfunding platform based in the US that focuses on US businesses and the US regulations, allowing people to buy shares in small companies using some of the crowdfunding regulations, the Jobs Act, Reg A Plus, and various other innovations that's happened in the US market in order to expand who can actually invest in US companies. So that's StartEngine, and then Abra we already discussed. But at the same time, those that are members of that hold 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on the Bank to the Future platform are getting all of our initial allocations on new secondary deals that we're going to put live on the platform, targeting around about Q3, Q4 of this year. For those of you that don't know, the secondary market is where we allow people to buy and sell essentially shares which in companies that we own that is backed by shares in other companies. So we put all of our deals into one special company, and then every share that exists in that special company is backed by a share in another company. And then we make a market where we allow people to buy and sell those shares in the special company. So for example, if you want exposure to Bitfinex shares, then you can use the platform in order to buy and sell shares in our special company that is backed. For every share that exists in that special company, it is backed by one share in Bitfinex, which means that Bitfinex doesn't have to be a publicly traded company, and we can use our network of regulatory, securities laws and everything in order to make a market in that. So at the moment, we just have Bitfinex live in beta. We're taking beta feedback. Your feedback has been very useful, and the books are starting to pick up a bit and looking a bit more liquid. You can see the charts here. You can see the history of trades, and we welcome all your feedback on that. But this week, we closed our initial allocation in the deal that we will be listing second, in addition to Bitfinex, which is Circle. And for those of you that don't know, Circle is one of the established companies in our industry. They have a number of different things and assets that they own. They own the Poloniex crypto to crypto exchange, which was one of the earlier exchanges in the US market before companies like Binance. And if those of you that read the recent report from Bitwise, which was an ETF application, it was talking about the exchanges that have real volume, because 95% of the exchanges on the list on CoinMarketCap are all fake volume. And they talked about, they did an analysis on which ones have real volume, and Poloniex was one of those on the list. And in fact, 50% of the 10 companies that have real volume, according to the Bitwise report, are actually Bank to the Future portfolio companies. And our goal will be to get the other 50% at some point as well, as we scale out our secondary market and we allow people to build a diversified portfolio in some of the more established companies in crypto, the next one being Circle. So Circle owns Poloniex. It's also the creator of the second largest stablecoin. Bitfinex is the company that runs the largest stablecoin, USD Tether. And Circle is the company that created the second largest one, USDC. And it also runs a OTC trading desk. It also recently acquired a platform called Seed Invest. And it also has their mobile payments app and their trading apps. So, and more as well. And so they recently, we had a secondary allocation, and those who had 10,000 BFT, they were the only ones who got notifications, and all of the amount that we had has been allocated, and we will be and that will be making it to our secondary market as we scale this process. Remember, it's very important that you're not actually trading shares in the underlying company, because that would have a lot more regulatory complexity and you need to be a national stock exchange. We're creating an over-the-counter trading desk where you can place buy and sell orders in SP, the special company that owns shares in these underlying companies, which is a slightly different thing. And for those of you that watched last week's episode of Bank to the Future Live, we discussed the arbitrage opportunities in arbing the value of the underlying company, i.e. in this case Bitfinex, versus the price of the SPV, which has either a liquidity premium or discount based upon whether more people are looking to sell, as it may be the case in a bear market as people are trying to get liquid, versus people that are looking to purchase at a discount, or maybe look to purchase at a premium that I'm forecasting might come if we move into a crypto bull market, which I think we will be getting to. Not financial advice, not investment advice. Do your own research. We're not giving you any kind of financial advice on that, and that's just what we're actually making available. We're pleased to announce right now that the third deal will be going live either this week or maybe very early next week at the latest. And it will be exclusive just to those who have 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on their BnkToTheFuture.com account. And I know that this is, you'll either love it or hate it, because they do have their major fans and major enemies. But the next company is the most successful company in the entire market in crypto in terms of user growth and also revenue growth, and that is Coinbase. So for those of you that own 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens, you will be able to get some of our allocation distributed just to our premium members that want to get an allocation in Coinbase SPV before it goes live on our secondary market in Q3, Q4, depending on when we come out of beta. So that will be the next one. We've also got approximately 10 more lined up. So it's well worth heading over to the fund section of your account. You just click here, for example, in this one. And in the fund section, you can head over to the BF token, the Bank to the Future token wallet, and you just simply go here and you can deposit your tokens, and that's there, and you just enter the address you'll be sending them from. For those of you that want to know where to get Bank to the Future tokens, you can head over to CoinMarketCap and you can see, just enter BFT here. And when you enter BFT, you'll find the Bank to the Future token CoinMarketCap page. You can see that we had a push into a top 200 token, so we're glad to see the progress. It's been a nice month this month since we've been doing live broadcasts, you can see, and we've also noticed a spike in volume as more and more people are starting to use the token for a couple of reasons. One, in order to get priority access to deals. Two, it's integrated with coin payments, so all of the merchants on coin payments you can use BFT everywhere that coin payments is, and they're integrated with many merchants. And also you can pay and get a 50% discount off all your trading fees on the secondary market when you buy and sell, and you pay the fee using the Bank to the Future token. So if you have more than 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on your account, then you can use those to pay your trading fees. I'll just show you very briefly. When you do that, if you pick a market, so we'll go for Bitfinex, we'll go to the trade page, and you can see all the people that are looking to sell. If I wanted to buy that, I can just click this thing here, and I can pay using my Bank to the Future tokens, and my trading fee is discounted in half. So it's well worth doing. And so we've noticed a big uptick in people that are taking advantage of that. About 65% of the trades we've analyzed so far use the Bank to the Future token in order to pay their trading fees. And you can see in the reported volume that we've had a bit of an increase and more people looking to use that. So yes, that's the Bank to the Future secondary market. And yes, what was I going to be covering? So that's where you get your 50% discounted trading fees. Yes, and the next one, as we announced earlier, is going to be Coinbase, and we're very excited to announce all the other companies that we've got lined up as we roll this out of beta. And yeah, we actually contribute to producing for the top companies in crypto. But today, what I wanted to discuss as a main topic, before we go into the questions and look at the portfolio news, was our process for selecting deals that we list on our platform. And the first distinction to understand I've already covered, which is that if they are a very established company, then those are the types of companies that we'll be listing on our secondary market. Our secondary market is not for the really early stage companies. We do have some initiatives whereby we might make an OTC order book, whereby those that are already existing investors can sell to each other. But if they want to be open to new qualifying investors on BnkToTheFuture.com, then it's only for established companies that have reached a certain level of brand recognition, whereby there's more publicly available information on those companies, and they've reached a certain stage in their growth cycle. All the others would be listed on the Invest tab, which is where new offerings are made. And they tend to be earlier stage companies, but also this is where we would do the initial allocations of some of the more established companies like Abra. But in terms of due diligence, our process is as follows. So initially it starts with an application. So everybody that lists on our platform, either we would have had an established relationship with them, and we would be dealing on a private basis, or they would have clicked the raise tab here and they would have made an initial application. When they make an application, they send us their investor deck, they upload their company incorporation and due diligence documents, such as certificate of incorporation, certificate of good standing, bylaws, memorandum, articles of association, all we need, and then the company officers know your customer details, proof of identity, proof of address, and everything we need to do to understand who's behind the company, who the ultimate beneficial owners are, who are the officers, and who the shareholders are. That's the initial know your customer process. But then what we would look for before we list them on the platform is an institutional full-time professional investor. And that might be either a venture capital firm or an established angel investor that does this on more of a career basis, or a strategic investor. So, and what we would do is either they have already invested in the existing funding round, gone through their due diligence process, and negotiated the valuation of the company. And then we would look to do our deal on the same terms as that valuation and rely upon some of the due diligence that has happened by them securing a professional investor. Now, sometimes companies come to us and they haven't actually secured it yet. So at that stage, we would reach out to our network of institutional investors and see if they can close any of our institutional and professional, more institutional companies that do this full time, to actually make an institutional investment in the company and set the terms and set the valuation. Once they've secured that, in most cases, sometimes we'll do a deal without that. For example, Bitstamp was an example of a deal where we did the whole round in a particular allocation because we were willing to lead and do the due diligence on that. Then they would list on our platform, and then we do what's called a syndicate, which is where we go through, they list all the different parts of their pitch, and what we will do is rely upon the due diligence that the professional investor has done, but then also check that some of these things are factually accurate and fair and clear and not misleading. And that would be the process. Now, if they're taking on US investors, then they would go through an additional process to be signed off by our US broker-dealer, and various other things if they're reaching out to different jurisdictions. And that's kind of the second, third process. Then we would look through and ensure that it is factually accurate, what they're saying. And then finally, it goes through the next phase of due diligence, which is when we put the pitch live, we will send it out to our priority access members. And then our priority access members can do their own, what we call additional due diligence, using two features that we've got on the platform. One is what we call the discussion page, and the second is the investor zone. Now, the discussion page is where anyone that's looking at this pitch that qualifies to invest, that's completed our certification, completed our KYC process, completed our verification and self-certification, and uploaded any requested documents, is able to actually ask questions and gain access to these forums, and ask any questions that they might have to the team, or to the Bank to the Future team as well. And this will appear on their company page. So all of these companies have a company page. You can see the discussion forum. Now, this is publicly available to anybody that qualifies to invest on Bank to the Future. The second section is just for those that have actually invested, which is called the investor zone. And the investor zone is where all investor relations take place. This is where we would, you can see that because this account isn't actually an investor in this company, they don't have access. But behind this would be the investor relations portal where they can ask questions only with the pitch team and other investors. And any documents, any investor updates are all added here to the investor page section. And as the company progresses, we post any updates there. Now, one of the things that we're constantly trying to improve on is that sometimes it is very challenging for a private company that has an infinite number of things to do and is normally starved of staff and resources, is trying to get the investor updates from them. So one of the things that we've been working on, and one of the use cases for the Bank to the Future token, was actually incentivizing people where they get rewards when they do better due diligence, and they do better investor relations. Now, we've got very basic features available for that now, but we're looking to improve upon that as we go through, where people are incentivized with the Bank to the Future token for doing due diligence and investor relations. And we're also continually working on how we can get better updates from the companies. We appreciate some of them just don't give enough updates. Others, we may not actually have come with information rights in order to get the allocation. And others are very good at providing the updates. You know, it's a constant challenge that we're always looking to improve there. And we appreciate any feedback on what ideas you have in order to improve that. That's the investor relations, are always looking to try and get timely updates, but you have to appreciate that these are private companies. They may not necessarily come with information rights, and most of the time they are time starved because they don't necessarily have enough staff and resource, and certainly not dedicated resource just to keeping investors up to date. But we try and do what we can to support them, and we'll look to improve over time as well. So that's kind of our process. So just to recap, they would make an initial application and initial screening. From there, they would do the securities law stuff, the anti-money laundering stuff we have to do, where they would, you know, we would make sure that we know who the officers are, who the shareholders are, and have the company documentation. Then they would go through the process of the due diligence of the professional investor, the institutional investor rather. From there, we would then look at the pitch and ensure that it is fair, clear, and not misleading, and factually accurate to the best as we can, and make sure that all the disclosures are there on the pitch. So the pitch is covered with disclosures, which you should be reading. And whenever anyone comes in, we give the necessary risk warnings and make sure, in some cases, depending on what type of investor they are, go through a quiz in order to ensure that they understand the risks and what type of how returns are made when investing. It's also worth noting that some of you might not have noticed this, but under every pitch, under the button, there's an FAQ here, which has a pop down, which explains the structure. It explains any fees involved. It explains how returns are made. It explains the regulatory environment, and it also lists the different payment methods. So this one, we did have bank transfer, but because the pitch is closing, the bank transfer method goes down, and you can pay by card, crypto, Bitcoin, altcoins as well, and Ethereum in order to make that investment. So then after that, it goes through all of the investors on Bank to the Future through the forum, and most people check out that forum before actually making any kind of investment decision to see if they like how the questions have been answered. And so that puts it through that additional layer. And hopefully at that stage, anything that may have been overlooked would come out at that stage as well, on top of all the stuff that is done. But do remember, this is high risk, high return investments. This is the nature of the game is that the information is not like a public company, because if it was, they would be a public company. And a public company has much greater resources and much more stringent requirements in terms of reporting. But if we want to create liquidity on our secondary market, then people have to understand that it's not quite the same as investing in a stock or share of a company like Apple. And there's certain risks that come with investing in such a high risk, high return asset class. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, just before we go through the questions, I'm just going to take some of the portfolio updates on announcements. ETHFinex, which is one of the companies in the Bitfinex group, they announced that there's a new initiative whereby people that want to engage in market making for the Bank to the Future token via the ETHFinex platform, when they place bids and offers and engage in market making rather than market taking. For those of you that don't know the difference, market making is where you place a bid and offer and you create liquidity for those that want to buy and sell. Market taking is where you take those orders and you are the buyer and the seller that's taking orders from the maker. But for those that want to make a market in Bank to the Future tokens on the ETHFinex / Bitfinex trading platform, then you can actually get paid in BFT as a reward for actually making the market. So it's negative trading fees for trading the Bank to the Future token and providing liquidity, thanks to the ETHFinex team. And if you head over to our Telegram group, or you check out the article, then we posted an article explaining how you can take advantage of that opportunity to earn Bank to the Future tokens by making a market in a Bank to the Future token. So thank you to all the guys at ETHFinex and Bitfinex for coming up with such initiatives. The other thing we wanted to update you on is some negative news from one of our portfolio companies. Bitso is the largest exchange in Mexico. And they are going through, not the company, but the sector is going through a lot of regulatory changes with crypto. But we've seen this before, this is some news that's coming out in terms of the regulatory updates with cryptocurrencies in Mexico. The headlines are normally much worse than they actually are, because when you dig deep, for example, when you take the headlines in India, crypto is not illegal, Bitcoin is not illegal. However, the regulator and the central bank made updated banks saying that you're not allowed to bank crypto companies. But there's some changes going on in Mexico, and hopefully the Bitso team can navigate that. They've been engaging with the central bank there, but boohoo to Mexico, and well done to other jurisdictions which are supporting the future of finance. Another announcement from two of our portfolio companies, which is AirTM. For those of you that don't know, AirTM is a company that at the moment, the existing investors, so we did their seed round on Bank to the Future, and they provide a US dollar denominated account and a cryptocurrency account for people in emerging markets, and they've done a lot of business in Venezuela, but it's a very challenging environment there with with the hyperinflation that's happening, and the government's trying to protect and keep people tied to the country that is being destroyed and unfortunately creating bad economic freedom for the people that are at the mercy of a regime of bad monetary policy that's killing their savings, and it's a very sad affair. But AirTM has created the ability for people to have a US dollar stable account so that they can hopefully maintain some of those savings in a regime of savings being inflated away. And Coinbase, one of our other portfolio companies, just recently joined the funding round, and Coinbase Ventures has made an investment in AirTM. For those of you that are AirTM investors, keep an eye out on your email because we will be emailing you shortly, allowing you to co-invest through a secondary trade for those of you that want to increase your position or maintain the position and prevent additional dilution. So we'll be doing that. So congratulations to both Coinbase and AirTM. And then a final one is we're hearing very frequently from Kraken, and Kraken is in the news again with this time they're doing a lot of helping people understand the initiatives that they're taking in protecting and making sure that they're not yet another hacked exchange, which is a real problem in our industry. But the chief security officer of Kraken came out with a very interesting article sharing how they think about things in terms of their security models. So, and we also, for priority access deal members, keep an eye on your email because we'll also be making some additional announcements about Kraken, which is another one of our portfolio companies from that Bank to the Future investors got exposure to and been actually one of the most profitable unicorns in our portfolio for those that invested in the earlier rounds. And they're explaining their path to how they want to get from $4 billion valuation to $40 billion valuation. So keep an eye out for that. And then we've, I think that's about everything I wanted to go through initially. So I'm going to return to my face so that you can see me and take some of your questions, hopefully. Okay, yeah, you can see me, hopefully. I'm just going to check my show notes to make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. So just to recap, we've got existing pitches that will be closing soon that are live, which is StartEngine, Trusti, and Abra. New pitches was Phaze, AirTM, secondary trade for the existing investors. The next secondary market that we'll be announcing just to priority access members is Coinbase SPV. And in terms of portfolio news, Ethernex are giving initiatives to allow people to make markets in the Bank to the Future token. What else do we have? Coinbase investing in AirTM, regulatory updates in Mexico, and Kraken, some announcements from their CTO. And then in terms of some other quick announcements, you'll notice AirTM investors that you would have seen the share price increase in the shares. So when there's a new pricing event, that means that you see an update in the price of your shares on the Bank to the Future portfolio. And yes, we understand that everybody is eagerly waiting the new portfolio section of the account where we'll be making it much simpler and much better for you to analyze the performance of your investments and other news. But congratulations. What else have we got here? There was a share price increase for Kraken investors, as discussed earlier. The Circle secondary trade, the secondary allocation is all allocated, and we discussed our processes on investor relations and due diligence. So that's everything that I wanted to cover before we actually jump into your questions. So I'm going to move back over so I can see what's happening. So Famida, have we got any questions? And let's see how we're doing for time. Okay.
Yeah, so we have about 15 minutes.
Great.
We do have some questions from last week, and we have a We have a couple of things to clear up about offerings in the secondary market, but
Okay.
I'm going to shoot in with some questions that we got from last week, if that's okay.
Sure.
So Simon, where do you see timelines for regulations in this space being at the moment, and what are the main barriers?
So regulations is such a big factor. So Bank to the Future operates within a couple of regulatory regimes. It is securities, what am I trying to say? Securities laws, had to draw a blank there, and also anti-money laundering laws. And so with regards to our situation, we're always staying on top of securities laws and also anti-money laundering laws. Those are the things that affect our business. At the same time, our portfolio companies are affected by lots of different things. So it depends on how that country classifies cryptocurrency and the product that they're dealing with. So some people classify Bitcoin as a commodity and therefore it is subject to commodity laws. Others view it as a currency and therefore it is subject to money laws. Others consider it property and therefore it might be considered normal consumer protection fraud laws. And then others consider certain products in our industry as securities and therefore it would be subject to securities laws. Add to the complication that is unique for every single country, hence the reason why Bank to the Future spent so long working on all of our international securities laws and anti-money laundering laws, because we have to consider the jurisdiction of the investor rather than just the country in which we might be incorporated in or the country in which we might be regulated in. And so it's unfortunately, while you have competing countries, while you have people trying to tax and people becoming more global, everything becomes more complicated. But what I think is really interesting is because from the 2017 bull market, so many jobs and so much funding made its way into this industry, that jurisdictions started competing in order to accumulate all those jobs and trying to create more friendly regulatory regimes and environments. And the cold hard reality is that we need to figure out how to fit in with the existing rules and regulations, and then we need to make sure that we're also lobbying for new rules and regulations. And the new always takes time, and it's also on a country-specific basis. So it's a major question. There's so much I could unpack into that question, but I see progress. Our industry not long ago was such a strange, weird thing. But now pretty much every regulator in the world, every central bank in the world, every investment bank in the world, every retail bank in the world, every Fortune 500 company, every Tokyo Stock Exchange company, every FTSE 100 company, they're all planning their strategy of how they enter this market. So, you can imagine there's lots of, and there's also the money grab, of course, which is tax collection and everything that comes with that.
Okay. The next question I have here is about the industry. So isn't it the general assumption in the industry that there would be another big crypto bull market? Somewhat dangerous.
Okay. So first thing on that is, will there be another bull market? Again, I'm going to have to put the disclaimer here. This is not financial advice. You should do your own research. This is just my opinion, my personal opinion. This is not Bank to the Future's opinion. You shouldn't use this to make an investment. This is just not financial advice. This is my own personal opinion. What I just discussed, that every single central bank in the world, every single investment bank, every single Fortune 500 company, every FTSE 100 company, while the crypto market does not need validation from these people because Bitcoin just exists, whether they exist or not, these companies do not waste their time on fads and industries that are about to go away. And I have personally lived through 3 pump and dump, bull and bear, whatever you want to call it, cycles in cryptocurrency. And I have never seen more engagement, more involvement, more bullish signals, except for price. than I have seen right now. You know, we're very shortly, people are going to buy the next version of the Samsung phone they buy is going to have private key management just for cryptocurrencies. In the next bull market, NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange are going to be competing with Bitfinex, Coinbase Pro, and everyone else, creating cryptocurrency exchanges. We've got we've got JP Morgan launching their own stable coins, and Facebook launching their own stable coins, and Telegram and WhatsApp and all these companies that are all going to be looking at building in the crypto sector and are not going to have a chance at competing with the value proposition of Bitcoin, in my opinion. However, they will be driving lots and lots of new adoption to the industry. We've got companies all around the world that are looking to adjust to this industry. Now, the fact of the matter is that the bear market was such a welcome relief for all of our portfolio companies. While we love being in a bull market because everyone's making more money, people are more happy, and you know, there's not layoffs or any of these things. It actually gives us the time to create our systems to be able to scale in order to onboard at the next wave. And every time we have a new wave, we onboard a lot more people. All of the wealthy investors on Bank to the Future, they made their wealth when they were accumulating during a bear market so that they were ready for the bull market. And that's just the cold, hard reality of it. Now, while some people might have got wealthy trading in the bull market, the long-term wealth that I've seen is normally created during the bear market, and also the scalability solutions that we're seeing need time to actually be implemented. So if anybody thinks that we're not going to enter into a new bull market, my personal opinion is that none of these companies are going to waste time on something that they don't think you know, is just a little fad. Now, the key opportunity for making value in this industry is while most of the world still thinks that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, a scam, a currency just for drug dealers, then it creates the opportunity to benefit from them gradually learning that it's not a scam, it's not a Ponzi scheme, and it's not a currency just for drug dealers. And so it creates an arbitrage while the world is skeptical about something, for people to be able to capitalize on that opportunity. And that's what we've always done at Bank to the Future. So in our opinion, I have no idea whether we're going to crash another 50, 60, 75% from here. All I believe is that this industry is going to be more and more useful to more and more people, and that's going to drive more utility into the market, and more utility is going to be followed by a bull market. And I fully expect you know, crypto to enter into another bear market, another bull market, another bear market, another bull market, bear market, while it's rides its wave to what I think is, you know, a longer term impacting every single financial product in the world and impacting every person in the world eventually. So if you don't believe that there will be another bull market, then you should absolutely not be diversifying into these companies. You should be selling off your cryptocurrency, and you should be, you know, giving it over to people that actually believe that the future of finance is actually going to look very different from the past, and every single financial product is going to be disrupted and changed as a result of this innovation that's been created in the cryptocurrency and fintech market. And if you don't buy into that philosophy, you should not be investing through Bank to the Future, and you should not be investing or looking at cryptocurrencies unless you are doing it for another reason, which is you're actually using it just for the utility, which is an important thing that we're always working on, and supporting companies that are building more utility for the industry. So long answer, but yes, there is, of course, the fact that there could never be a recovery. But in that case, you know, no one should be using Bank to the Future at all, because we're betting on cryptocurrency having a much, 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 much greater impact than it's currently having. And we think all the writing and everything is lined up for that to happen.
Great, thank you for that. I have a slightly detailed question here from our Telegram Korean community, actually. Exchange platforms and usage methods have changed with the development of communication technologies. It is argued that all the stock markets, not just the unlisted stock exchanges, will gradually become the STO. What does that mean, and what is the cause?
So this is a longer term trend. I believe that at the moment, the way our traditional system works is you have public companies and private companies. Private companies are entities that are not listed on the stock market, and those are the types of companies and asset classes that we deal with at BnkToTheFuture.com. You then also have public companies. Public companies are ones which have very stringent reporting requirements. They've reached a certain level of success and size and revenue, and they trade available for retail investors via a network of brokers to be able to buy and sell and gain exposure in those companies. What we're seeing is several markets evolving. The first one is the tokenization of private securities. Now, why are people doing that? Well, the jury's out. We're not quite sure yet. But when Ethereum was originally created, no one knew what a smart contract was going to do. They just had theories. Turned out the use case was ICOs and maybe later STOs. But the point is that one of the things that the securities token industry is doing is it's pushing securities laws to the limits in terms of removing as many middle people as possible. So at BnkToTheFuture, we're a centralized securities business. We give people these opportunities because of the models that we actually follow. But as we grow and as this market evolves, we launch the BF wallet, which has the goal of allowing you to actually take out your traditional securities and hold them as securities tokens. And that means that you can hold them in your own personal possession, and then they can transport to potentially, as our industry grows, other exchanges, and you don't have to be stuck into, for example, Apple is pretty much stuck on the American markets. But what if you could take Apple stock out of the American market, over to the Japanese market, over to the Singapore market, over to a cryptocurrency exchange, over to a fintech company, and you could actually transport it and hold it on your phone in custodial on your own? Well, that's where the industry is moving towards, and that's what's getting regulators excited, people excited, because they can add additional consumer protections, less middle people, less things that might potentially go wrong. Now, it's not 100% clear at this stage exactly why that is going to happen and what the main benefits of that are, but it's clear that it's already happening. And it will happen. Now, remember, the ICO market really started around about 2013-14, and it didn't really go big until 2017. I'm forecasting another thing with the STO market. We did the first ever security token, which was the Bitfinex Hack Recovery token, which was in 2016. Add another 4 years to that, you're looking at about 2020, which is next year. I think that there's going to be a couple more years until we see deep liquidity and the ability to move these across different exchanges globally around the world. And what that is going to do is it's going to create a much more competitive environment, and it's going to create a great use case for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and everything that comes out of this industry as a result, as it goes more global, accessing more markets, and creating a much more fairer, more competitive environment whereby you can take your assets off a certain jurisdiction if you don't like the way that jurisdiction is operating. There's also other different types of markets, which is securities tokens are doing things that could not be done before. So the Bitfinex Hack Recovery token is an example. They used a security token to allow people to hold a token that gives them exposure to being able to hold the debt of a company, and that could be converted to equity, and it could also be traded, and that was the first ever security token. And if you search YouTube for Bitfinex Hack Recovery, you can see how the first ever security token was used way back when we did it in 2017, I think it was 16. So there's the ability to securitize assets and make them more transportable around the world to different exchanges. There's the second type, which is doing something with a token that you could not do before. And then the third type is creating new products like revenue sharing and using cryptocurrencies in order to make it a lot easier to administer those processes. And all of those are bets that people are taking on fractional ownership and using cryptocurrency in order to actually facilitate that. And so I'm not 100% convinced that a token is needed for Apple stock. However, if Abra can collateralize it and allow people in a country that don't get easy access to stocks to be able to do it because it's collateralized by Bitcoin, and people can use cryptocurrency in order to gain exposure to traditional assets on a fractionalized basis, then maybe there's a new use case there. And another thing. One thing I'm certain about is this will happen, and the major investments that led to wealth on Bank to the Future was when they were investing in an industry that didn't exist before. And that is essentially the security token industry. There's a lot of people involved in that, and a lot of people looking to move forward with that, and we'll be bringing deals and opportunities, and also actively building and developing in order to facilitate the transition from traditional securities to more tokenized securities, and seeing what benefits can come from those as we move forward.
Okay, so we've hit the 1 hour mark, and if you don't mind, Simon, I've just got one question to ask from.
Sure.
Okay, so it's I guess it's about transparency about some of the deals that come through. So this person has asked about the new deals that are offered to members, and why is it that some deals are for members only, and also does this affect the share price? So if they do come through into the secondary market, or if they're released first to the BF members, is there a difference in share price and offerings?
Excellent. No, many of our members are requesting that as a feature, as a benefit for having a Bank to the Future token, but we don't like that. When we did our token sale at Bank to the Future, we had one thing that we thought was really important. We wanted to give the exact same price to everybody that purchased our token. So we priced it in dollars, so you don't have to deal with some of the fluctuations. And we gave the people that invested in the pre-sale, the institutional investors, and everybody paid the exact same price. Now, we can't make other people do that, and people won't do that. And we do have, when we started doing, security tokens and various other things, people were structuring it in these ways, and one of the perks to that was getting a better price. But with equity, the only benefit to being in the priority access is that, one, there's certain deals that only go to the priority access people that hold 10,000 BFT on their BnkToTheFuture.com account. So it opens up deals that were not available before. And secondly, the ones that are going to be open, you get priority access because sometimes they get subscribed in the priority access. But the price is exactly the same. We're not giving a more favorable term. We don't want to be involved in any of those things. We want people to invest on an even footage. We appreciate that some people structure their offers whereby the earlier you invest, you get rewarded, and we can't change that. But we prefer it where we do this in a way where everybody gets the same deals, but at the same time, you can't stop people from creating incentives whereby, because you have the chicken and egg scenario where nobody wants to be the first to invest, so you have to create an incentive to invest early, is what many of the issuers are looking as that. But to answer the question, no, it's the same deal. You're just getting access to deals that may not ever be available to you if you weren't a priority access member, and you get access to it first just in case it's oversubscribed or you want to get in early. But it's still the same price once it goes live on the platform. And if it wasn't for any reason, then there would be complete disclosure on that. So you're getting the same terms as the venture capitalist that's invested in the same round, and the priority access that's investing in the same round, and the ones that are listed. And if there wasn't, we would certainly disclose that to make sure that you're aware that you're paying a different price.
All right, I think we should end it there. We have a lot of questions actually, but I think we should save them for next week. Okay, great. So that would do it for episode 7 of Bank to the Future Live. Thank you to Famida. Thanks to everyone that joined us live. We are looking forward to making more and more of these and actually building a following and getting a community together that actually attend the live ones rather than just the recordings.
Please do, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, please subscribe to our channel, and make sure you click the bell button so that you receive the notifications from YouTube every time we go live. And if you're watching the recording, please add in the comments any comments that you have, any questions that you have, and then we'll try to pick that up ready for the next episode of Bank to the Future Live. If you've got suggestions for content you'd like us to cover next week, then please do let us know either in the comment section, on Twitter, or in the Telegram channel. And please be aware of scam channels. Make sure you're in the right channel. If you're, there are people that do want to steal your money, and they will do all sorts of things, and they will impersonate our company in order to try and steal your money. We will never ask for you to send money. That's how you know that you're in one of the scam groups or anything. And we'll try to put the official links under this video, which we keep forgetting to do. I'll make a note for me that we need to add the links here so they can see the official links. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you on episode 8 of Bank to the Future Live this time next week. Bye-bye.